Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Ashmat Kumar, and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Markets end the day and the week flat after bouts of heavy volatility, but Indian equities are turning into foreign money magnets once again. $7 billion come in during July and August. Data points to a lot more inflows on the anvil as India's fundamentals stand out against other Asian and emerging markets. The rupee weakened sharply against the greenback as the dollar index climbs to a 20-year high. Traders watch for US jobs data due later in the day. Demand for work under government's flagship MNREGA scheme is lower than the last 2 years, reflecting a return to normalcy after COVID-led distress. Data shows that monthly demand for MNREGA work has fallen consistently. There has been a 56% dip between May and August. The government proposes some strict testing standards for electric vehicles and EV batteries to improve safety. Proposals include multiple sensors to detect temperature and electrical fluctuations and a safety fuse. Seek stakeholder feedback in the next 30 days. Starbucks names Lakshman Narasimhan as the new CEO a day after he steps down at Reckitt. CEO Lakshman will join Starbucks on the first day of October and will be succeeding Howard Schultz from the next April. 13 bidders enter the race for a minority stake sale in NTPC Green Energy. Sources say bidders include Canadian Pension Fund, Petronas, Brookfield and ArcelorMittal, and add that NTPC is hoping for 2,000 crore rupees through the sale before it looks at listing the subsidiary. Prime Minister Narendra Modi commissions India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant. The 43,000-ton warship, which costs 20,000 crores, is the largest to be built in India and puts India on par with 5 other countries that can build their own aircraft carrier. Well, let's first get to the day's market action. Now, it was a flat end to a volatile week for the markets. Sensex and Nifty closed flat after swinging between gains and losses. Nifty slipped 3 points, while Sensex gained 37. Mid-cap index gained for 11th consecutive week despite falling by over 100 points. Anuj Singhal is joining us now with a quick market wrap. Extremely volatile session today, Anuj.
Well, the day was quite volatile, as has been the case with the entire week. Even though it was a truncated week, the markets made some big moves this week. 200, 300 points a day sometimes, but is actually ending the week absolutely flat. So, the jury is still out on which way the market's headed. Just for the day, though, it was clear that the banks were trying to get their mojo back. The bank Nifty sort of outperforming once again, while the Nifty was a bit soft. HDFC Bank, Kotak, Axis, SBI, these were the kind of names which did well in trade today. On the downside, of course, you had some of these auto names where there was some profit taking, like Hero MotoCorp, Maruti as well. Reliance has been a bit of a problem for the market. Infosys as well, that also was a bit soft. So these are a few stocks which sort of dragged the markets. In the F&O space, there were some big gainers like Astral, India Mart, and of course Adani Enterprises. All in all, as I said, the jury is still out on whether the bulls or the bears have a control on this market. As of now, both are trying their best.
Well, meanwhile, crude oil prices are climbing again after suffering steep losses. The surge in prices comes on the hope that OPEC Plus producers will discuss output cut at a meeting scheduled on the 5th of September. Both Brent and NYMEX are trading with gains of more than 2% after slumping by almost $9 per barrel in the previous 2 sessions. RBI Governor Shaktikanta said that he's studying why the GDP growth for April to June quarter at 13.5% was lower than the RBI's own estimate of 16.2%. Speaking to Zee Business, the governor said that while domestic economic activity is resilient, it is the global factors that are hurting India's growth and fueling inflation. Speaking on the weakening currency, the governor said that the rupee is stable and better placed than the other currencies thanks to India's strong forex reserves. He also assured that the central bank will try to minimize impact on growth when tackling inflation. From Delhi now, fewer people are demanding work under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, or MNREGA, as per the Finance Ministry. Now, this reflects a return to normalcy after 2 years of COVID-led distress. There has been a 56% decline in the number of people seeking jobs under the government's flagship Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme between month of May and August. Sapna Das, in fact, joins us now with more details. Sapna.
Absolutely. In fact, the Finance Ministry data is also pretty much clear on that front, and the MNREGA data is in public domain. This can be easily availed and checked out. So starting off first, of course, the Ministry's comment saying that in the last 2 odd years, there has been a significant decline in the demand for work under MNREGA by individuals especially. So if you look at FY22 versus FY21, FY21 was the year when COVID was at its peak, and there was a COVID-led nationwide lockdown. So if you look at FY22, around 40 odd crore people had availed, or rather there was demand for work by individuals under MNREGA, 40 odd crore individuals. The number was much higher in FY21 at close to 45 crores. So that's one data set. Also, month on month, sequentially, this decline in the demand for work is very much visible. So if you look at the Finance Ministry data point, they are talking about May on May this year compared to May last year. So this year, May, the number was almost half of what it was last year. The demand for work by individual category is down by almost 41%. And if you come down to August now, August, in fact, the demand has been the lowest so far. Around, and if you compare this with May, it's a sizable dip of almost 56 odd percent. So in May, maybe around 4.4 crore individuals demanded work under MNREGA. In the month of August, this is below 2 crores. So this is what the data indicates. But Ministry at its end is clear that they are not trying to say that this could be because the job market is stabilizing. But the Ministry is very much clear on the fact that this clearly indicates that there's a return to normalcy after 2 years of distress caused by COVID.
Right, Sapna, thanks a lot for that. So slow shift there back to normal after the pandemic. Let's shift focus now. Auto companies are confident of registering strong sales growth heading into the festive season. Vinod Agarwal of Eicher Motor told CNBC-TV18 that while commercial vehicle sales in August were impacted by the monsoons, the company has a packed order book for buses, including electric buses. Meanwhile, Shashank Srivastava of Maruti Suzuki said pending bookings crossed 4 lakhs in the month of August, and the company's exports also continue to show a strong trajectory.
The number of working days for production in August were less. There were 23 days against the normal 25, 26. So I think that explains that small drop. We had pending bookings, in fact, crossed 400,000 at one point of time during the month, now stands at 377. In fact, we ended up being #1 exporter for passenger vehicles with 238,000 units. And we expect the exports to be in the same range, slightly higher than last year.
The month of August, there is also impact of monsoons. So I think it's that. Otherwise, CV industry per se is doing very well, and we are expecting good growth overall for the year. If you look at first 5 months, we have sold 28,500, and which is 91% growth over previous year's first 5 months. And if you look at the industry has grown by 88%. So we are doing better than the industry.
From the auto to the aviation space, Spicejet is likely to receive around 225 crore rupees under the Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, or the ECLGS. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the money will be used to clear any pending statutory dues and payments to lessors. Meanwhile, coffee giant Starbucks has named Lakshman Narasimhan as Howard Schull's successor. The 55-year-old executive will be joining Starbucks from the 1st of October as incoming CEO and will fully take over from Schull's in April of next year. Schull's will remain on the board after the transition. Lakshman's appointment to the Starbucks top post comes a day after he resigned from Reckitt. Manglam Malu gets us more on Lakshman Narasimhan's new innings at Starbucks.
Lakshman Narasimhan is a sought-after man. When he announced his unexpected exit from Reckitt, the stock fell about 5%, and everyone was wondering what's brewing. Well, tell you what's brewing. He is the new Starbucks CEO. He will succeed the interim CEO and founder Howard Schultz from April 1, 2023. He joins Starbucks on October 1, 2022 as incoming CEO. So he takes over as CEO only from April 1st, 2023. Prior to joining Starbucks as CEO, he of course was the CEO of Reckitt Benckiser, where he was appointed on September 1, 2019 itself. So in 3 years, his key achievement was to navigate Reckitt through the pandemic itself. He's also held various leadership roles at PepsiCo. In fact, on a side note, when he was the CEO of PepsiCo Latin America, he actually went ahead and struck a deal with Starbucks itself. So now it's a bit of a full circle. Let's talk about this star's bucks now. His base salary will be $1.3 million, then cash incentive of 200% over this base salary, and joining bonus, he gets about $1.6 million as well. The important things he has to watch out for in Starbucks Global, the challenges and multiple opportunities. The first one is bringing business back post-COVID. Of course, a lot of the to-go sales have met pre-COVID levels, but overall business has been under pressure post-COVID, especially on account of inflation and rising costs. Other couple of factors that he'll be working on: worker unionization effort that has been taking place at their Buffalo, New York, area. So that is something he'll have to navigate through. And on account of that, there was higher employee turnover as well. Navigating competition is something that he'll have to manage to keep Starbucks relevant, and growing presence in other geographies. Will India be included in that or not is something we will have to watch out for. While he was, a part of this list earlier itself, he keeps his place in this illustrious, ever-growing and elite list of global business leaders of Indian origin, joining the likes of Sundar Pichai, Sandeep Kataria, Arvind Krishna and Shantanu Narayan.
Now, a quick check of the court corner. The Supreme Court agrees to hear a public interest litigation seeking measures and guidelines for population control, has issued a notice to the centre. The PIL cited overpopulation as a violation of fundamental rights. India is the world's second most populous country. The court, however, rejected a public interest litigation which sought to make Sanskrit a national language, slamming the petitioner for seeking publicity. The court said that the parliament is the right forum for addressing the issue. The Supreme Court also refused to hear and entertain a PIL seeking probe into the killings of Kashmiri Pandits and Sikhs in Kashmir Valley between 1989 and 2003. The court suggested that the petitioner withdraw its application and raise its grievances before the central government. Here's some news now from the auto space. On the back of several EV fires reported across the country in the last few months, the government has proposed additional safety requirements for batteries that are used in electric vehicles. The new norms are proposed to be effective from the 1st of October. Parikshit Luthra gets us more details. Parikshit.
Well, yes, there was an expert panel comprising of officials of DRDO as well. This was way back in March when there were 7 to 8 EV fires that were reported. Now, that panel came out with conclusions about why these fires took place in each of the scooters and also recommended changes to our testing criteria. Basis that report, the government has changed the testing criteria or added additional requirements for electric vehicles for their certification, and this includes additional safety requirements for testing battery designs, for testing the battery management system, the cell, also the short circuit mechanism in these batteries. So all of this will come into effect from the 1st of October. This is what the government is proposing. These are draft notifications at this stage. Conformity of production norms, where even after certification, companies have to submit their components of vehicles for testing to the ARAI. That will now apply to the electric vehicle segment as well. Let's see how the industry responds. There are some clarifications which have been sought, some meetings have been sought, because some companies feel it will be difficult to comply with this by the 1st of October.
Right, Parikshit. So there's the government response introducing new compliances for the EV industry to work with. Let's move forward now. Power generating company NTPC has received bids from 13 companies to acquire a minority stake in the company's green energy division. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that the company is looking to raise up to 2,000 crore rupees from the stake sale. Abhimanyu Sharma joins us now with more details. Abhimanyu, take us through the NTPC monetization roadmap. But first, tell us about the interested bidders.
where ArcelorMittal, Brookfield, Canadian Pension Fund, NIF are among the bidders as far as the 13 bids are concerned for NTPC's green energy stake sale. It remains to be seen how these bids will be considered and what will be the amount of stake which will be divested as NTPC Green Energy remains open to raising up to rupees 2,000 crores as equity and remains open to stake sale between 5% to 26%. Also, NTPC is looking forward for listing of various of its subsidiaries, be it NIPCO or NVVN. Also, NTPC is looking at the possibility of selling off its non-core assets, particularly in the fertilizer domain. NTPC, what sources have indicated that NTPC is not going to launch any greenfield coal thermal power plant. However, it's also not going to close down any thermal power plant more than 200 megawatt capacity. It remains to be seen what is going to be the status of the bids for NTPC Green Energy, since the subsidiary of NTPC is looking forward to raise money as part of this exercise.
Right, Abhimanyu. With that, it's time now to slip into a very short break. But coming up on the other side, Prime Minister Narendra Modi commissions India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant. Details when we come back.